Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a word that we use all the time, a word we think we know inside and out: freedom. It's this huge idea we all cherish, but what's really going on underneath it all? Let's untangle it together. I love starting with this quote from Gandhi. It just immediately gets you thinking about freedom in a different way. It's not just some passive thing you have, it's an active space, a space where you get to act, to choose, and yeah, even a space to mess up. So let me ask you directly. When I say the word freedom, what's the very first thing that comes to your mind? Seriously, just take a second. What's your gut reaction? Okay, if you were thinking about things like free will, or liberty, or the freedom of choice, well, you're in good company. That's what most of us think of, right? These are the basic building blocks for how we usually talk about freedom, and that's our starting point. And this is a big but, this is where things get really interesting. Because in the world of ethics, freedom isn't just about what you're allowed to do, it's about the very nature of your actions themselves. We're about to go a whole level deeper. All right, so first things first. We need to get one thing straight. Freedom isn't just one single thing. It actually has a ton of different faces. Just take a look at this. Philosophers have broken it down into all these different types. It can be something totally internal, like your own private thoughts and beliefs. And it can be political, like the rights and liberties your society guarantees. So you see, it's working on all these different levels at the same time. And that brings us to what is maybe the most important distinction in this whole explainer. It's the difference between the things we actively do and the things that just sort of happen to us. So, in ethics, they have this special term, a human act. Now, this isn't just any old behavior. It's an action that has two absolutely essential ingredients: insight, which just means you know what you're doing, and free will. This slide breaks it down perfectly. Over on one side, you have involuntary things, stuff that just happens in you. Think about breathing or dreaming. You don't choose to do them, they just happen. But on the other side, you've got voluntary acts, things you choose to do, like deciding to put on your ID card in the morning. And it's that kind of action, that choice, that ethics is really all about. Okay, so we've got this idea of a voluntary act, a real choice. But how do we actually analyze it? How do we look at it from a moral point of view? Well, we can actually dissect it. Let's look at the anatomy of a choice. It turns out every single choice you make can be broken down into three simple parts. First, there's the object. That's just the what. What did you actually do? Second, the intention. That's the why. What was your reason? And third, you've got the circumstance. That's the how, where, and when. All three of those pieces are totally essential to get the full moral picture. So let's just boil this all down, because this is the absolute key. For something to be a true human act, something that can even be looked at morally, three things have to be true. You have to know what you're doing, you have to be free to do it, and you have to do it on purpose. That's it. Knowledge, freedom, and intention. So, where does all this get us? What's the point of breaking things down like this? Well, let's connect all these dots and find out what freedom really means in an ethical sense. Here's where it all clicks into place. When an action is voluntary, when you know what you're doing and you choose to do it, you can be held responsible for it. And there's a specific word for this moral responsibility. It's called culpability. So when are you considered culpable or responsible? It's when you have enough knowledge and you have intent. And when are you not? Well, when someone doesn't have that knowledge, or they don't have the capacity to choose freely. This is exactly why we don't hold infants or people with certain severe mental illnesses morally responsible in the same way. The key ingredients just aren't there. And this leads us to the real punchline, this idea of authentic freedom. It's not what a lot of us think it is. It's not just some free-for-all, the right to do and say whatever you want. From an ethical standpoint, real authentic freedom is about using that freedom well. It's about making choices that affirm the best version of yourself. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The choices we make with our freedom can either lift us up, make us better, or they can drag us down. The power isn't just in having the freedom, it's in how we choose to use it. So we end up right back where we started, but hopefully with a totally new perspective. Freedom isn't just a thing you have, it's a thing you do. It's literally defined moment by your choices. So the only real question left is, what are you going to choose to do with yours?